Hi, Northaven family and friends, and welcome to Northaven Voices this week. We are continuing our conversations with individuals in our congregation that play a significant role in leading nonprofit organizations that support our children and our families in the community. This week, I am honored to be visiting with Kirsten Brandt-James, who is the Executive Director for Project Transformation North Texas. So, hi, Kirsten, and so it's such a pleasure to be with you. So thank you for joining us. So Kirsten, why don't you start by telling us about you? Where are you from? What do you do? How did you get involved in? And I know, in looking at your profile, that you've been involved in nonprofits for a very, very long time. So let's hear about your story.
Sure, Bob. Well, I've been involved with nonprofits for a long time, and I've also been involved at Northaven for a very long time. My family came to Northaven in 1973.
Whoa.
I have a blended family. My father died when I was 7. My mother, I had 2 sisters. My mother and my stepfather grew up in Fort Worth at Poly Methodist. Uh-huh. And my stepfather was also widowed, and he had 3 children. So we were the Brady Bunch. It was 1973. We were coming from California, and we'd been going to a Unitarian church, and my siblings and father were still going to Poly Methodist. So I always say that Northaven was the compromise between the two, but it was also very close to our house. And we just, Northaven's very important to who I am. It was part of our family coming together as a blended family. All of us, we had 4 kids, we had 6 kids, 4 of us in MYF at a time. Wow. Started singing in the choir when I was in 8th grade with Jane Marshall. Mm-hmm. So Northaven is really a part of just my DNA. And that's one of the things that led me to Project Transformation North Texas. My career has been in nonprofit management and fundraising. I've also was very involved in the arts in high school and college. I went to Austin College in Sherman, Presbyterian school, and went to graduate school in Wisconsin, but came back and started working in arts management. Mm-hmm. At that time, people weren't really promoting degrees in nonprofit management, but my liberal arts background, my writing, communication skills were a perfect match for those what was needed for fundraising, marketing, public relations. I worked at the Dallas Theater Center. I went to the San Diego Repertory Theater, and I came back to run Junior Players, another organization I grew up in here in Dallas for 22 years.
Yeah.
And so I always say that Junior Players was kind of like my first child. And after 22 years, it was time for let it to grow and go on its own. Yeah. And then in the past 5 years, I worked at Allie's House, working with teen mothers. And we were housed at Grace United Methodist Church. Yeah. And I loved being a part of the church there, being there. That kind of gave me a feel for what it would be like to work for a faith-based. Allie's House wasn't faith-based, but we were part of the church. So that was an interesting time. And then the last 3 years, I worked with a brand new nonprofit, helping them raise their startup funds to build a supported living community for adults with autism. Oh, when the position opened up, but it was once it opened this summer, it's up in the Denton County and Crossroads. I was driving up to Denton, a lot before the pandemic, not so much, but it was just, I always knew once it opened, it would be time for the next chapter. And so when the executive director position was open, I applied immediately. Because it brings everything I love all together. It's about access and opportunity for children, youth, young adults. It gives me a chance to practice my faith every day, which is important to me so that I'm learning and growing in my faith as well as serving the community. So that's how I got here at Project Transformation North Texas. I'm in my office today, but all of my staff is working remotely now, but it's helping me learn things. I just started in October, and I'm so excited to be here about our future and what we're doing for children and families and young adults in North Texas.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I can just tell you how excited you are, what a passion you have for this. So it's really great to see that in your eyes and in your face. It's interesting because when you were the executive director for Junior Players, you were housed in the same building that I worked in as the director for Legacy Counseling Center. And I would see you and I'd say, I know I've seen her somewhere. I didn't connect for the longest time that you were at church, but we worked in the same building for the longest time.
So. I know.
That's great. But what are your hobbies and passions besides serving the community, so in your church?
Well, singing is one of my passions. So singing in the choir is kind of where I find my place at Northaven, and it gives me that opportunity to continue that part of myself. Then just, we have my husband, Tim, is retired, and we also have a blended family. He was a widower. So I have 2 stepsons in their 30s. We have 5 grandchildren. Oh, and then, as many of you know, we have 17-year-old twins, Caitlin and Brandt, who are seniors at Lake Highlands High School, and they are in their senior year. So they have kept me very busy these last 17 years. And this year Brandt's very active in theater there. He loves sports. He writes for the newspaper. Caitlin writes for the newspaper and sings in the choir. So supporting them in their activities has kept us busy. And then we're just hoping they have a regular graduation, and we're working on college things right now. So I would say my family takes up a lot of time still right now.
Yeah. So let's go into the project transformation. So tell us about the organization.
Sure.
Just give us the history, the mission and so forth. Okay.
Well, Project Transformation North Texas, actually, when it was started, it had a Northaven connection because Sarah Wilkie was attending Northaven at that time, and it was founded by Sarah Wilkie and Leighton Farrell, who was at Highland Park United Methodist. Okay. So it was an idea about engaging college age adults. It was about discernment of purpose, to give them that opportunity to discern if they wanted to go into ministry, to serve the community, as well as providing much needed services to children and families in underserved neighborhoods in Dallas, and engaging those churches. So the whole idea that it's about transforming communities through engaging children, college-age young adults, and churches in purposeful relationships. So it's all about relationships. Yeah. So, and North Texas was the first chapter of Project Transformation. We were started 22 years ago, 1998. Wow. And then in 2015, there were Methodist churches and communities all over the country calling us in North Texas, how do we do this? And Eric Lind, who was the executive director then, it was taking a lot of his time. And they really decided then it needed to be a national organization. So the national chapter is here, and Eric's the CEO of the national organization, and their office is right next to ours. So I get to visit with Eric a lot. He's a member at First United Methodist Richardson. We actually have a lot in common. So he's a musician, and we just are having a good time getting to know each other and work together. And then we have chapters all over the country. DC, we have 3 in Texas now, Rio Grande, Central Texas is out of Fort Worth. They actually house in Pauley Methodist, where my parents grew up. So that's an interesting aspect too. But North Texas was the first, and we're the biggest chapter for Project Transformation.
I did not know that. That's wow. 23 years, did you say, or something like that?
23, because we're 2021.
Yeah. Well, tell me, what are some of the programs then that you guys?
Sure. We provide after school and summer programming in host churches. So we have 4 after school sites, and then in the summer we'll have 10 host churches, and they're churches like Christ Foundry, which of course Northaven knows well, Casa Linda, UMC. We had Munger Place a couple years ago. Elmwood and Oak Cliff is a big, has been a long time church of ours. Pleasant Mound down in the Pleasant Grove area, Chapel Hill. So they're Cockrell Hill United Methodist, and Oak Haven, which is in Irving. We have one in Irving. Okay. And so this year's been crazy for us with COVID. The after school program stopped mid-March and went to virtual. And then this past summer, was huge because we ended up and we started doing food distribution because that's what the need was. The need was for food, household supplies. So during the summer, we couldn't do in-person programming. The other, but important piece of our program is literacy. It's about one-on-one reading. And that's where we've typically used a lot of church volunteers. And I know we used to have some volunteers from Northaven, and it's going to be probably might be a year from now that we go back to in-person volunteering, but we actually have opportunities for virtual volunteering right now. And we will this summer for that reading, that one-on-one reading. So we have statistics about how all of our participants, 97% of them, improved their reading skills during the summer. So not only are we stopping that summer slide, but they're going back ready for the next grade level. So that's a really important piece of it. We will have over 100 college-age interns in a summer, and we actually call them members. We have an AmeriCorps grant, so they're AmeriCorps members here for North Texas. We have 10 right now. We are still doing virtual after school right now with our 4 sites. Of course, it doesn't matter what sites they are. Everyone's participating online right now through Zoom. We are working to going in person with our after school. First, we said February 1st. We're waiting another week or two to see if we can have that start date, but sometime in March or April. And then I know we will be in person in the summer. The other important piece of the summer is that our interns live in community, intentional community together at SMU. So they're in dorms at SMU. We have house pastors. So once again, there is Bible study. There's a faith-based component. Of course, with AmeriCorps, it's completely voluntary and separate. It's not mandatory, but that is part of what we do. So like Pastor Martha at Elmwood records Bible time for us right now. And it's just, we have enrichment activities with the students, but then it's led by those college-age students who are leading the programming. So we're supporting them to lead the programming. So it's great for college students who might want to be a teacher, maybe a minister, maybe social worker, nonprofit work, or even a lawyer or a doctor, just learning about really serving the community.
Okay. So how would a college student, if they're interested in that, want to be a part of this organization?
Well, they can apply on our website now. I actually sent some information to Adam. I'm going to try to get it in the Northaven newsletter. Okay. And I'm probably going to email some Northaven college students I know, because it's a wonderful opportunity. The majority of my staff started with us in college.
Oh, wow.
And so they love it.
High school seniors or high school people be able? That's not.
No, they have to finish their freshman year.
Okay.
But for the AmeriCorps, they get a living stipend, and then depending on the hours they serve, they get an education award that they can use towards tuition, student loans. It's good for 7 years. So it's a really great thing. So we are recruiting now. So if anyone in college who needs a summer job, tell them to go to our website, look at the application, and apply, because we would love to have them.
Well, that's good to know. I'm glad you brought that up. So hopefully people will share that from this interview. So that was my next question: is how can Northaven? How can we serve you? How can we help your organization besides providing mentors for reading? It sounds like.
Yeah, mentors for reading are great. We one of the things, part of that community living, and I think Northaven has provided some meals at Christ Foundry. Some of the meals that we've done before has been part of Project Transformation, because we do provide meals after school. Then in the summer with the interns, we don't know how it's going to work out this summer. Community meals, usually sometimes they're big, like you would think of a big church, but it may be getting together with a catered meal, individually wrapped. And then we have an Amazon wish list on our website for supplies that we need. I was just able to get Methodist hospital system to donate some PPE that we're going to need to go back in person. So I'll email you that link for that, but it should be on our website or Amazon wish list. I know some Northaven people have already donated money. Thank you. All of my friends that I have sent letters to and emailed, appreciate that. And being the volunteers, I know a lot of our board members, and I don't know, Bob DeQuee's on our board. Yeah. he and I are on a committee together with some of the other chapters about looking at this summer coming up. And Bob's my lawyer, even though he's retired. So I sent him anything I have a legal question on. I sent it to Bob. But I think he might have started out.
Bob. Thank you, Bob. Right.
Yeah. He's wonderful. I think he might have started out reading as a reading volunteer. And I know we had some other volunteers. I know my board member, Karen Kendall from First United Methodist, she started out reading. So I really, if people do like that reading, and I think it will be virtual still for the spring and summer. So people who aren't ready to go out yet, that may be a way for some of our members to engage safely. We'll probably do it this way via Zoom in the summer. There will be one of our interns with the reader, with the student, but still working on those reading skills, because our services are going to be needed more than ever this summer with the learning deficits, especially from low-income communities that we're seeing as a result of COVID.
Yeah, there's a significant problem with reading levels here, and it's already before the COVID, and so now it's just impacted more, it compounded, So I do want to share that really important, how important it is to mentor these kids after this COVID, to get them prepared for next year if they can be in person, So.
Absolutely, yeah. The summer we probably will be in person. It will be with smaller groups, probably mask, outside in the morning, all of those safety things, following all of those guidelines. We've developed a very detailed protocol already. Everything's just going to take more time, a little bit, but we know it's going to be even more important. And to have that social emotional learning is another thing that we really emphasize, and that relationship with that college age mentor, and just thinking of the mental impact of COVID and emotional. So, and our college age students, in a meeting I was in this morning, we were talking about our college age, they've had a traumatic year because it's not the same, kind of college. So we're going to be caring for those young adults as well as the children and youth. We have a high school program where we take them on college tours. So it's really about all the way through that, from 5 to 22. And we even have Marcos Gonzalez, who is our family and site engagement manager. He started as a child, then he was a core member and intern, and now he's on staff.
I love that story. Isn't that wonderful to see?
It is, and we have a lot of those stories. We call them Kid to Core because they're the AmeriCorps members, and we have quite a few of those. So that just shows you the impact. Like I feel like in some ways I've missed out that I wasn't part of that college thing, but I can't wait to get through our first summer and be a part of this. It's just really a wonderful experience for all who are involved. So I really do hope some more people from Northaven, if they have the time, can get involved and be a part of it.
Oh, and I'm going to share their website because it is projecttransformation.org/North Texas. Is that correct?
Yes, we are all on the same website. So the landing page may take you to national, and then it'll have chapters, and just pick North Texas. Okay. And then it'll have our information. They wanted to have a kind of a uniform look. I think there was even on a talk today about another provisional chapter in a nearby state. Oklahoma has a chapter, so some of the chapters are really small. Mm-hmm. I said North Texas and Tennessee are the biggest chapters so far.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a lot of opportunity for us to be involved.
I hope so. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, and find something to do at home, so here's the guy.
Well, exactly. So we've had some volunteers who really liked doing the virtual. It is, and I know at one of our host churches, I was talking to the pastor at Chapel Hill, and a lot of our congregations are in high-risk populations. So this is a way for them to still be involved, but do it safely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very well. So what do you feel like it brings you most joy?
Well, always just being a part of the program. I should have closed. We had a family fun night right before the holidays. We had drive-through events at our site churches. So we had some things where they were going to sign up, and we had safe activities. It was all outside. It was a little chilly. One of my staff dressed up like Santa Claus, and we had 3 or 4 families come through, and they got some. It was just a wonderful experience
So you
for
can
all
stay
of them.
connected and you can have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always the best part for me, is when I can be out with my staff, with the families, the participants, our interns,
Yeah.
just experiencing the program. I mean, it's strange to start a new job during COVID, I have to say.
And a nonprofit.
Yes. Yes. Funding is going, like I said, we're going to have a virtual luncheon. That's the other thing coming up. I'll probably let people at Northaven know about. So we're going to, we're going to try to make it fun. They had to cancel the luncheon last year. It's usually in March or April. So that was right at the beginning. So we lost revenue there. So we're going to try to do it virtually, have a silent auction, have some speakers about the impacts of COVID on education and health, and then just learning about the program. So we'll make it fun and interactive, but we'll let people know about it, because we really do. It will be important for us to try to maintain some of that fundraising.
Right. And when you think about April, it's just right here.
I know. We had a lunch meeting today.
I just created some anxiety for you, didn't I?
I know. It is right here.
It's just right here. Just right here. What keeps you motivated, Kirsten? So this is, because of COVID, it's like you always have to have this energy of creativity, right? So there's like, the transition.
Well, and then I guess I'm new, so I'm very motivated. I'm very excited. And sometimes I have to remember that my staff is a little burned out, because they had to pivot, do things completely differently. And it's but luckily they just had some time off and they're all committed. But I think my staff keeps me motivated. And once again, like I said, the families and our participants and our interns, we did a retreat with our interns on Monday and Tuesday to get ready for this semester. And the pastors from Casa Linda UMC I joined one call with Rose Danny and Juan from Casa Linda, and they're so excited about having Project Transformation North Texas there, and the things that they're doing at Casa Linda UMC, and being a part of that. And it's interesting. It's funny. There was one day when I came home, I said, I got to pray 4 times today at work. And that's, because we start and end meetings with prayer, even national. I was meeting with an advisory board member. Well, Cammie Gaston's on our advisory board, and she said, "Can I pray for you?" Well, of course you can. So that is a new and different thing for me that I'm really enjoying, and leading prayer and leading devotionals and stuff is great.
Well, it leads me into what I read, your vision. I wrote it down as I looked on your website, but on the website of Project Transformation North Texas. And I love the vision. We envision a world that is rooted in love, pursues equity of all people, and amplifies God's call on every life. And I think you just described that with your, with what how y'all are sharing being with each other and sharing prayer and reaching out to the community. So thank you so much for letting us talk to you and finding out more about Project Transformation. And folks out there, you heard there are needs. So not only financial needs, but mentoring needs. So if you have the time, reach out to Kirsten or go to the website. And if you have some college friends that are looking for an opportunity, this sounds like a wonderful opportunity for them. So, yeah. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for asking me, Bob. And thanks to Northaven. Northaven always is so supportive of everything. I love being a part of the Northaven community.
Well, thank you. And we love having you there, and just love your children and the energy. And so it's so much fun. Thank you for all you do to serve the children and the youth. So we appreciate you. You take good care. So
thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Bye.